Next is Cardaril's sign. This was suggested by Antonio Cardarelli. This is done to know the aortic arch dilatation or aneurysm or even mediastinal tumor. Now, if you do an abnormal palpation or if you find any abnormal pulsation of the trachea that may be found in patients with a dilatation or aneurysm of the aortic arch, if you palpate of you if or sorry if you while palpating, if you find any abnormal pulsation of the trachea in an individual, you may suspect, or that can be due to dilatation or aneurysm of aorta or aortic arch. This is actually felt by the physician by pressing thyroid cartilage. This is felt by the patient by pressing thyroid cartilage and displacing it to the left. This sign was suggested by Antonio Cardarelli. So this is known as Cardarelli's sign. This gives us an idea about aortic arch dilatation or aneurysm or even mediastinal tumor. Next is Carnet's sign. This was suggested by John Barton Carnet. We elicit this sign to find out abdominal mass or pain. Now, this is a clinical examination of acute abdominal pain. This is a clinical examination of acute abdominal pain which remains unchanged or increases when the muscles of the abdomen are tensed. When the muscles of the abdomen are tensed in acute abdominal conditions, it may increase or it may remain unchanged. It is the clinical examination in which acute abdominal pain remains unchanged or the pain may increase if you tense the abdominal muscles. Charcot's next is Charcot's sign or Charcot's triad. Now, this is almost 95%. This was suggested by Jean Martin Charcot. This is seen usually in case of ascending cholangitis. Why it is called Charcot's triad? Three clinical signs or three clinical features are very much marked. Almost fever for almost 95% cases, right upper quadrant pain 90% cases, and jaundice almost 80% of cases. This is seen in case of ascending cholangitis. Next is Codman's triangle. Codman's triangle. This was suggested by Ernest Codman. This we do in case of when we suspect osteosarcoma or Ewing's sarcoma, or it is a radiographic appearance of the rim of new subperiosteal bone which forms when a lesion such as a tumor lifts the periosteum away from the bone. Now, three main causes of this Codman's triangle are osteosarcoma, Ewing's sarcoma, and subperiosteal abscess. So, when this is a radiographic appearance of the rim of new subperiosteal bone, and this is seen in case of three conditions: osteosarcoma, Ewing's sarcoma, or subperiosteal abscess. Next is Cullen's sign, or you can say Cullen's sign. Now, this is very peculiar. Now, this is also a sign which can be seen while we are inspecting, or can be an inspectory signing. The same condition, you are going to examine the abdomen, you have exposed the parts. Now, if you find there is especially onion skin appearance around the umbilicus, and this is seen in case of acute hemorrhagic peritonitis, or even in case of intra-abdominal hemorrhage, or even ectopic pregnancy. If you go through like clinical books on surgery, you will find Cullen sign and Grace Turner sign both are usually seen in case of acute hemorrhagic pancreatitis. So if you find there is onion skin appearance around the umbilicus or the pinkish discoloration around the umbilicus, you may suspect this acute hemorrhagic pancreatitis. That is seen in Cullen sign. This was suggested by Thomas S. Cullen. Next is Dance sign. This sign was suggested by Jean-Baptiste Hippolyte Dance. It is seen in case of ileocecal intersusception. Now, on investigation of the right lower quadrant of the abdomen for retraction, which can be an indication of intersusception. Intersusception, we all know when the invagination occurs. So, on investigation on right lower quadrant of the abdomen for retraction, you suspect the abdomen may be retracted. So, while you are investing on that, the abdomen may show retraction of the right iliac fossa. So, in case of intersusception or ileocecal intersusception, when you examine the right lower quadrant, it may show retraction of the right iliac fossa. This is called Dance sign. Next is Dunphy sign. This sign was suggested by John Engelbert Dunphy. It is seen in case of appendicitis. Now it suggests, this sign suggests there is increased intra-abdominal pain when you are coughing. While you are coughing, the intra-abdominal or the abdominal pain may increase. That is suggestive of appendicitis. I am purposefully actually trying to just finish it up because there are so many signs. We all may forget everything. So just trying to move a little bit faster. If anybody has got any like query or anything you want to discuss, you can definitely talk to me. But I'm thinking of finishing at least 30 to 35 slides at least. So the next slide is, or the next sign is called Fothergill's sign. It was suggested by John Fothergill. It is seen in case of rectus sheath hematoma. Anterior abdominal mass, any anterior abdominal mass which does not cross the midline and is still palpable when abdominal muscles are tensed. Please mark my words, anterior abdominal mass which does not cross the midline is still palpable when abdominal wall muscles are tensed. This is seen in case of rectus sheath hematoma, and this sign is called Fothergill's sign. Now moving on further, the next is Goodsall's rule. This was suggested by David Henry Goodsall in case of anal fistula. This is very peculiar and very interesting sign as well. Now, while examining a patient for fistula or for perianal or anorectal abscess, we draw an imaginary line, transverse imaginary line. If you will find the fistula opening is anterior to this transverse line, the track will be radial. You can see this at the top of the slide. The track will be radial. But if it is present posteriorly to this transverse line, there will be like curved. There will be curved track, and it will be at the midpoint of the posterior line, the curved line. And if so, this is what is suggested by Goodsall's rule, and it is seen in case you must have heard about horseshoe fistula. So how these two openings are behaving or are present in the perineum or in the anal region, this suggests if it is the opening is anterior to the transverse line, imaginary transverse line, it will be radial in nature. If it is present in the posterior part, then it will be curved. I have already told you about this sign, Gray-Turner's sign. This was given by George Gray Turner. This it is seen in retroperitoneal hemorrhage or the same condition in case of acute hemorrhagic pancreatitis. The skin discoloration or blushing in the left flank. Now in Cullen sign, you found the discoloration was present in the around the umbilicus. And in case of Grace Turner sign, this discoloration is present in the flank or especially left of the flank. This is seen in acute hemorrhagic pancreatitis or retroperitoneal hemorrhage. Next is Homans sign. This was suggested by John Homans. It is seen in deep venous thrombosis. Now, passive forceful dorsiflexion of the foot with extended knee will cause tenderness in the calf muscle. Passive forceful dorsiflexion of the foot with extended knee will cause pain or tenderness in the calf muscle. This is seen in case of deep venous thrombosis. This is called Homans sign. Next is Hausif-Romberg sign. This was suggested by two gentlemen, John Hausif and Mortis Henrik Romberg. This is seen in case of obturator hernia. Now, what it suggests, this sign says painful inner thigh on internal rotation of the hip. Painful inner thigh on internal rotation of the hip seen in case of obturator hernia. But this sign should not be confused with neurological Romberg's sign, which is seen in sensory ataxia. There can be neurological Romberg sign that is seen in case of sensory ataxia. This sign should not be confused. The next sign is Kahr sign. It was suggested by Hans Kahr in case of ruptured spleen. Friends, I have already discussed this. When there is acute pain, at the tip of corresponding shoulder joint, you can suspect due to presence of blood or due to presence of any irritant just below these areas in peritoneal cavity, especially in splenic rupture. When the spleen ruptures, if there is hematoma or there is rupture of blood due to the trauma, that can lead to formation of an hematoma. And you have seen Balance sign. Previously I discussed Kahr sign is if any pathology or any hematoma, any fluid, any irritant in these areas, that will cause pain in the corresponding shoulder joint. So I told you the patient usually can come by in this position or in this fashion. He may be holding his shoulder and the pathology is somewhere else. Okay, the next is Kocher's sign. It was suggested by Emil Theodor Kocher. It is seen in case of hyperthyroidism or Bestow's disease. Now, you all have heard about Stelzach sign, Dalrymple sign, then Mobius sign. These are all clinical, the eye signs of your thyroiditis or toxic goiter. So these signs, especially this Kocher sign, is linked to the eyelid disease. This Kocher sign is linked to the eyelid diseases, especially seen in case of hyperthyroidism or Bestow's disease. Occurs convulsive retraction of the eyelid. The convulsive retraction of the eyelids on fixation on any upward movement. Suppose you want to just fix your eyes, a person suffers from hyperthyroidism or maybe Bestow's disease, or if you ask her or him to fix his eyelids like this, there may be some convulsive retraction of the eyelid. This is called Kocher's sign. The next one is very easy and very commonly discussed or examined. It is called McBurney's point. It was given by Charles McBurney. The significance of this point is in case of appendicitis. And what it is 1/3 of the distance from anterior superior iliac spine to the umbilicus. 1/3 of the distance from anterior superior iliac spine to the umbilicus is called McBurney's point. The significance is in appendicitis. Next is Murphy's sign. See, there are two things, Murphy's sign and Murphy's triad. We should not get confused. Murphy's triad is seen in case of appendicitis, acute appendicitis, where all those clinical features are approaching or are appearing in a particular fashion, like pain, vomiting, pain, fever, vomiting. So this is called Murphy's syndrome or Murphy's triad. But Murphy's sign is seen in case of cholecystitis. Now, while you are palpating the subcostal area, or while you are palpating these areas, when at the height of deep inspiration, if you apply pressure at the right subcostal area, there may be a catch in the breath. Catch in the breath means it is not like a cricket ball catch. It is the patient may show some kind of expression, that grimace, that sense of pain or distress when you apply pressure in these areas. This is seen due to the inflamed gallbladder, when it comes closer to the palpating finger. Suppose, ask the patient to take deep breath. At the height of deep inspiration, while you are applying pressure at the subcostal areas, right-sided, the patient may show some kind of facial expression or may complain of pain, or there may be some tenderness. This is mainly due to when the inflamed gallbladder moves to your palpating finger. So this is called Murphy's sign, seen in cholecystitis. Next is Pemberton's sign. This was suggested by Hugh Pemberton. It is seen in retrosternal mass with superior vena cava syndrome. What it suggests, this sign is used to evaluate venous obstruction in patients with, this sign is used to elicit or evaluate venous obstruction in patients. Now, the sign is positive when bilateral arm elevation causes facial plethora. The sign is positive when bilateral elevation causes facial plethora. It has been attributed to cork effect, resulting from thyroid obstructing the thoracic inlet. It has been attributed to thyroid obstructing the thoracic inlet, thereby increasing the pressure on the venous system. So when you elevate, the bilateral elevation causes facial plethora. The face, you can see the picture, reddish, or it is full of blood. The patient shows as if the face is full of blood. This is seen in case of Pemberton's sign. Fallon's maneuver. It was suggested by George S. Fallon. It is seen in case of carpal tunnel syndrome. Now, it is positive when flexing the wrist, to 90 degrees for 1 minute, and you elicit the symptoms in the medial nerve distribution. It is positive when flexing the wrist to 90 degrees for more than 1 minute and elicit the symptoms in medial nerve distribution. This is called Fallon's maneuver, seen in case of carpal tunnel syndrome. We are left with very few signs. Rigler's sign. Rigler's sign was suggested by Leo George Rigler. It is seen in pneumoperitoneum, or it is also known as bas relief or double wall sign. This sign is also known as double wall sign. It denotes the presence of air along the luminal or peritoneal aspect of the bowel wall on supine abdominal radiographs. Rigler's sign is It denotes presence of air in the luminar or peritoneal aspects of the bowel wall on supine abdominal radiographs. This suggests pneumoperitoneum. Next is Rinne's test. This is a very common test that is done. This is a very common test that is done in I'm not able. Rinne's test is primary. Okay, I've lost the slide. Maybe I'm not able to go back. Rinne's test is primarily used to know the loss of hearing in 1 year. It compares the perception of sound. It compares the perception of sound transmitted by air conduction to those transmitted by bone conduction. This is Rinne's test. We usually do like in ENT OPDs. You will very often found somebody is doing that test. The next is Rosenstein sign. It was suggested by Paul Rosenstein. It is seen in case of appendicitis. It is also known as Sitkovsky sign. When there is tenderness in the right lower quadrant that increases when patient moves from supine position to recumbent posture on the left side. This is called Rosenstein sign. That abdominal pain or the when the tenderness in the right lower quadrant increased when the patient moves from supine position to the recumbent posture on the left side. The I think the last sign is Robsing sign. This is suggested by Niels Thorkild Robsing. It is also a very significant sign to diagnose appendicitis. It is also known as referred rebound tenderness. Now see, while examining the abdomen, when you are applying pressure as shown in the picture at the top, while you are applying pressure at the left iliac fossa, the patient may complain or the patient may feel tenderness or pain in the right iliac fossa. This is mainly due to when the inflamed appendix is moving or the bowel wall that is moving towards the palpating fingers or the you can say the gases or the air is moving, so that creates that pain. This is known as Robsing sign. It is very significant to diagnose appendicitis, or especially it is also known as referred rebound tenderness. So I think this is all I have right now. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
I think this is all I have right now. So,
Okay, fine.
yeah, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for patience hearing. I just purposefully ended the show because there are so many signs that will almost 253 signs are there. It may become boring at times because all are having some special characters or some special features, not difficult to means not easy to remember and to understand. But my purpose was just to brush your memory. That is it.